So I got sent a scope by CVLIFE. If you don't know what CVLIFE is, they are an outdoor optic company. I've been fortunate enough to have a couple of their products over the years, but they sent me this scope, a 3x9x40 scope. So your typical rifle hunting scope. So this is going to be my first impression unboxing of this scope. We're going to see what it is. I have not tested it out. I have not put it on anything, but if it's anything like their other scopes, it should be a pretty decent scope. We're going to pull it out here. So first look, it's your typical 3x9 rifle scope. Got your scope caps on and everything. I'm not a big fan of those particular types of scope caps. I like your flip up scope caps. That's my personal preference. I just think they look better. Scope itself, pretty nice. I like the reticle on it. It has got a mil dot reticle. So you got your mil dots all the way up and down, left and right. Zoom it in here. We will zoom on in. Pretty happy with that. That's actually not that bad. Fairly clear scope. Obviously it's not a Swarovski or something, but it's a pretty clear scope. The scope I believe comes in at like 35, 40 bucks. You're probably thinking, Jake, you get what you pay for with your optics. And that can be true to an extent, but I've used CVLIFE in the past. Pretty happy with the scope for what I paid for it. This right here is our 17WSM, and this is a CVLIFE scope right here. This is a 6x24x50, I believe. So it is a 24 time zoom scope by 50 millimeters. Big sucker. This is a big scope, as you can see. This ain't your little inky dinky plinky scope. It's our groundhog gun. I'll shoot groundhogs at 200 yards with this thing, and tiny targets like groundhogs, it's nice to be able to zoom in 24 times. This particular scope was $50. We've had it for like 3-4 years. Been very happy with the scope. Obviously, I'm not trudging through the woods with it or taking it out into the backcountry. So as far as holding a reticle, I'm not super sure about how well it does. I do normally have to sight it in every year. It does lose its zero a little bit. I currently need to sight it in. So obviously you get what you pay for with your cheaper scopes. That would be my one complaint about CVLIFE is over the course of a year, they will lose their zero. I have other scopes on my rifles. I've got Bushnell scopes and we've got 6 hour scopes. They hold their zero really well. Bushnell especially. I mean, my deer rifles, they'll hold their zero. And I'll shoot them every year to make sure they're on, and they just never seem to lose their zero. This groundhog gun though, it will lose its zero. So might be the same thing with this scope, not too sure. But if you are a new hunter or someone who's just getting into hunting and you got a cheap rifle or you just want a cheap scope, check out CVLIFE. I mean, it's a solid scope, easy to sight in. You got your micro adjustments here. You got your, you got an eyepiece back here to adjust your eye relief. You've got your focus up here. So you've got, your 10 yards all the way up to 200 and then your infinity. Again, it's your standard 3-9x40, so it's your standard, it's typical deer rifle scope. But for 35, 40 bucks, I would be pretty happy with this. And it doesn't even have to be your deer scope. You could put this on your 22. You want a squirrel scope right here. You could put this on your air rifle. You could put this on your groundhog gun, your coyote gun, something that maybe you just need a cheap scope for. Just a little rig that you might set up. So that's why we went with the CVLIFE scope for our groundhog gun, because it's not like a main rifle that we're taking out into the backcountry or hauling through the woods all the time. It's something that, it sits in the gun safe or it sits to the side. We see a groundhog, we need to shoot a groundhog or something. So if you're someone that just needs a quick scope for something, a cheap scope, but that's gonna do the job and is a pretty decent one for the price, check out CVLIFE. Check out the scope right here, 3-9x40. I'll put a link in the description. I'll also put a link for the CVLIFE, the big scope, the Big John right here. And yeah, if you want to check them out, use the links in the description. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you in the next one.